Welcome to another Shay's Insights video. I'm David Shay, and I'm so glad you're here. This video is going to be a follow-on to last week's article, which was using intuition. And we do like to do the articles and then a video because we know some people prefer to read, others prefer to get the information via video. It just comes across differently when you hear someone talk about something than when we read about it. So it's there for both forms for both of you. Because I'm going to be doing the same topic as the article, I'm going to try to keep it in the same order, so you'll see me refer to my notes down here. So you're like, what is he looking at? I'm looking at my notes. So with that in mind, let's talk about it. First, let me talk about intention. Intention is incredibly powerful. When we set our intention in life, it informs the universe, capital U universe, in our higher guidance, what we want to do. They say, oh, she wants to do this, or he wants to do that. And as we hold that intention, the universe and our higher guidance will bring about those situations, people, and whatever else we need to make them happen, to allow that unfoldment to start happening in our life. So if intention's that powerful, what feeds that intention? Well, it's our intuition. Intuition is an incredibly useful skill and ability to cultivate within ourselves, but so many of us don't. We refer to our lesser thinking, and that's our left brain. Our brain likes to put things in boxes. It wants to look at it and say, well, this event needs to come first and that event needs to come second, and we can't do this before that, and we need more money or we need less money or whatever it is we need. The brain wants to analyze it, and we call that left brain thinking. I know that'll be on the right side of your screen there, but that's all right. It's the left brain. And with that, it ties to the lower mental body, which is our first three chakras, the subconscious, which is old childhood beliefs and limiting beliefs usually from our past and past lives for those who believe in them. But whatever we have from the past, if it's unresolved, it's with us now and it's affecting us now. So we oftentimes ignore our intuition again for our left brain thinking, and again, which is lesser thinking. Now, intuition is quite a different thing. That's our connection to our higher guidance. Intuition is unlimited. It is the reservoir of possible options is limitless because its source is the universe and the divine. It's like using a mega supercomputer. I talk about that in the article, with artificial intelligence. Imagine like they use with these supercomputers that use for predicting the weather. They have 128,000 processors that all operate together as one. And they put in the problem and they use very complex calculations and they come up with the best answer. Well, we have a connection to that, and that's our connection to the universe and the divine, our higher guidance as we call it. And it has a limitless reservoir of possible solutions, and it will bring forth the best one for us. We don't even have to think about it, we just have to learn to trust it. So how do we do that? A lot of people say, oh, just go do this. Well, great, whatever this is, sometimes it's easier said than done. So I'm going to do a little bit of the cart before the horse. Before we can know what intuition is, we need to kind of develop it first. So how do we do that? One of the best ways to do it is meditation. Meditation naturally connects us to our higher guidance, to our guides, all the different energetic connections to our high self, the divine, the angels, whatever our connection is to our higher guidance, it naturally connects us to us as we're meditating, and we start getting senses of what we should do, that quiet voice. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So what are some of the choices you can have for doing meditation? Well, if you can go out on the internet, there's lots of different types of meditations out there, and it's best to just go through, do an internet search, guided meditations, and see what they have, or for not necessarily guided, but learning a meditation technique for the first thing, if that's what you want to do. And you can find out which one works for you. And whichever one you are called to do is probably the one that's best for you. And as time goes on, it's not uncommon for us to start with one meditative technique and then move to another. So just to let yourself be guided. And that's a good way to go. One of the best techniques, I'm going to say best, one of the simplest techniques, which is also very powerful because it doesn't require us to do much more than we learn to still the mind and foster that connection with the divine. And it's called Vipassana, or Vipassana, I think is its proper pronunciation. The book that I use, and I get nothing for recommending this, is Mindfulness in Plain English. I'm blocking the view of me. It's a very great book. It has a different cover now. This is an older book. There's like, I don't know how many versions of this thing. But it's a wonderful way of learning to still the mind so that we can receive our guidance. And it'll happen both non-consciously, means it's just something that comes to us. We might even think it's our idea, or we suddenly have an intuition. And as we develop that intuition through meditation, we start to know what meditation is. We're going to talk about that again in just a moment. Now, some people may not want to take the time to learn a meditative technique because it does take quite a commitment of time and effort, and it's something that we're going to have to be willing to spend several months to a year perhaps to foster. So what else can you use? Well, there's guided meditations, as I mentioned just a moment ago, and there's plenty of them out on the internet. At Cherished Holistics, we have numerous ones under our monthly meditations. We do our local meditation here in town, but many of the people who attend the monthly meditation also go back and listen to the meditations over and over again because they're available online. And our focus is with connection, and I'll get to that in a second. So there's monthly meditations. There's those available out on the internet. Those on Cherished Holistics. We have one, for example, untangling the energetic threads of your life. It helps untangle the energies of our life so that we can have a better connection and flow with things. We have one about clearing ancestral energies. There's numerous ones out there. If you're called to listen to one, that's the one that's right for you. They last about an hour, and they're a wonderful resource. But again, there's other ones out on the internet, so use whichever ones are right for you. We also have our intuitive mastery, which is just that, intuitive mastery. It's mastering intuition. All of our seminars, all of our work, whether it's the videos, the meditations, all of them, our intention that we set before we do every one of those is to connect with our high self, so that we do it from our high self. And our intention is that it foster your connection, whoever's listening, to your higher guidance, so that you can have that direct connection. And that's the best way to have it, because then once we have our own connection, that connection guides us to the people, places, and things that we need to have that are right for us in our life. We don't have to listen to someone else who's supposed to be a guru, that their advice may be very wonderful, but it may not be for us. So with that in mind, that's one of the things you can do. So once we've started to develop our meditation, whether we learn a meditative technique and practice it over time and our intuition starts to grow, or we use guided meditations or something else out there, in time what will happen, and it happens rather quickly, we start having a sense of, intuition. I have a sense of I should do this instead of that. And it's usually kind of the quieter thing. So what does intuition feel like? I'm going to read it here. Our intuition, as it gets developed, is subtle and quiet. It's like a whisper. Light and airy, again, like a whisper. It's that subtle voice, that silent sense that we have about something. It's felt in our heart, like inspiration. All of a sudden you feel, wow, I should go do this. I should go and volunteer my time to go do something. Those kinds of things where we didn't have that before. Or it can happen sometimes where it's unexpectedly heard, often received from someone or somewhere else, like a TV commercial, radio commercial, magazine, newspaper. We open up a magazine and right there's a headline that has the exact words that we needed to hear. They just resonate with us in the moment. That's an example. Or like an aha moment. all of a sudden we've known something for a long time, but suddenly everything comes together in a way that we suddenly, oh, that's what I need to do, and we're guided to go do that. It's always, I'm going to say always, but it's going to be uplifting, light, and joyful. Whatever the intuition is, it comes through in that manner. Even things that come through that we may not want to do, they might be, I'll say, they're arduous, a lot of hard work. It'll come through in a way that's uplifting and joyful because we'll see the positive in it. And the one thing that intuition is, it's always devoid of any sense of obligation, dread, negativity, etc., if we choose not to follow its guidance. So it doesn't have that sense of impending doom, follow this intuition or else kind of a thing. That does not happen with intuition. So that's the nature of intuition. Now let's talk about our left brain thinking, low self, and ego, because they all kind of go together. When we're engaged in our thinking, which is the low self again and ego, it has a feeling, the words or the sense of it as loud, heavy, that feels more like it's made of lead. I usually see even if they're light words, the light words of the thought come, or the message come in such a way that it's heavy when it comes from our low self and our left brain. It's often received along with negative emotions, even if slight. It could be positive, some positive, but all of a sudden we have some negativity with it, and we'll talk about that in just a second. It can be felt as stress, tension in our lower abdomen, which is where the first three chakras are, or in other body muscles such as the neck, in our back, and especially the lower back. It can be associated with raising of the blood pressure and causing headaches. Some people, just because they're in high tension environments, tend to they stuff it. We call that stuffing, or we stuff the tensions. We don't even realize we're doing it consciously so much. And all of a sudden we have a headache, or again, we have a backache or something like that, or our blood pressure is raised. That's an indicator that it's from the low self. And the message comes through the thought from the low self, the brain, or the ego. It's linked with a feeling or a sense of dread, impending doom, obligation, fear, or other negative emotions, even if slight, if we do not follow that inner guidance. So that's the nature of the left brain things. Whereas the intuition, again, is subtle and light, airy, like a whisper. You feel it in the heart, it's joyful, it's uplifting, an aha moment, like, oh, I get it now, it suddenly hits me. And it's devoid always of any sense of obligation, dread, or negativity. You can do this, and if you do it, these wonderful things are going to happen. If we choose not to do it, I guess the higher guidance knows we're going to maintain the course that we have. And as we develop our intuition, as we start listening to that subtle voice, the light, airy, heartfelt, uplifting messages, what'll happen, that we start learning our language, we start knowing how it sounds and how it feels and the sense of it. It'll have a mental and emotional content to it. And what I didn't mention before, and I did in the article, which is our intuition can come from the mental or emotional or spiritual bodies. It can come through as a mental thought. It'll have a higher vibration. It'll be a light thought. Light is in lighter weight, very airy, high vibration. Or emotion, it'll be a feeling. We refer to emotions as the lower emotions, as the heavy, lesser self emotions. And we talk about feelings as coming from the soul, which are the ones which are, again, love, joy, harmony, those kinds of things. Those are the lighter feeling vibrations that come from the soul. And those are ones that are associated with intuition. And lastly, one of the things that can happen with us, and this is very common, and I know I'm going a little long on the video, is that oftentimes we're going to get an intuition. It'll come through and it'll be the light and vibrational one, but the low self will want to chime in too. The left brain, the low self, and so you're getting a mixed message, like you feel some higher vibration and you'll feel some lower ones. Once you recognize it, you can know, okay, that's from the lower, lesser left brain, ego, low self, and this other one is the one I need to listen to, and that'll become the language. And finally, in closing, as we use intuition and allow it to guide our life intention, unfoldment will happen like it never happened before. It can exceed your wildest dreams. It can truly be an uplifting, joyful experience. We just need to learn to listen to it. And with that, it becomes our constant companion. The intuition, joy, love, and using those to set our intention become the guideposts of our life because they're guided from the divine and from our heart. And with that, until next time, blessings, light, and love, and have a wonderful day.